All right, so let's walk through creating a brand new estimate. So we're in our estimates section of Trackfront. We are going to click on New Estimate at the top here, and you'll begin by entering an organization. Now, if you have an existing organization that you want to choose, you can do a type to complete and choose it that way, or you can also have a brand new organization that's not in the system that you would enter and add here as well. That goes the same way for contacts over here. So let's go back here, choose an existing organization. The contacts that are related to that organization will automatically come up, and you can choose that contact. Now you can add additional people here as well. If I choose anybody in the system, I can actually copy just about anybody I want here that's in my contacts database. It doesn't just have to be the person from that estimate. And then my team here will be the users from my company that will show up in here. If I wanted to add additional people in here, I could do that as well. Okay. A couple things you'll notice here at the top are PO number if you need to enter it, and customer visibility, which is if you wanted to make the estimate not visible to a client, and if this was a budget you're setting internally, for instance, for a project, you would do it that way. Category is just a general category that you would give to a project. So if I wanted to create a different category, it's just a way to organize projects. You have to put something in here. It's just a general category of a type of project that you would have in here. So let's just do print, for instance, and we will do, in this case, actually let's just do a different one. Let's call this video. This will be a video project, and we'll do an explainer video. And we can choose on receipt or net 30, whatever that needs to be. The status is the current draft of this, or the status is the current stage that the estimate is in. It'll always start out in draft. You can manually go in here and change these, but it's best to leave them alone because the natural progression of sending an estimate and a customer viewing an estimate and approving it or requesting modifications will automatically change these statuses. But you can always go and do it yourself manually. For instance, if somebody asked for a change on the phone versus doing it through the system, you could go back here and save it back to a draft, make the changes, and then send it again. So one of the things that we'll do here is let's just add a default group. For instance, like let's look at the most basic way you can do things in Trackfront, and this is probably the most laborious and tedious way. Is you would have a default blank group in here with one project, and then you would go in and add additional items one by one or multiple items in here. For instance, location scouting, location rental, prop selection and purchase, and so forth, and then you would add those in. Okay, now that's if you wanted to do things very manually, and then you'd go in and edit each particular line item and the rate or the price for each one and so forth. I'm going to delete that right now. So the better way to do things is to set up groups, as we mentioned before in the initial setup video, and you would have these like a video project would already have a group set up in here with all the items that are related to that particular group of work. Now this is a video project for a creative agency. This could be a widget that somebody manufactures, and here are all the parts, components, labor, engineering, everything that would go into it. It could be an architectural company's services that are related to this type of project, and so forth. So then in here what you would do is go in here and you would put your budgeted amounts for each of the items, and you would go through and fill this out. Let's say it's a 2-person shoot, 16 hours, something like that, and then you go in here and then you edit your description. You can type in whatever you want for your description. It's a rich text editor. You can make things bold, you can make it underlined, italic, underlined. You can add a link to something. You can make bulleted lists, for instance, and whatnot. You can clear formatting, and that's basically your description in here. Okay, and then what you would do is add attachments. Like for instance, if you wanted to have a nice proposal ready to go, you would have your attachments already set up in your file library. And for instance, like I have, in this particular example, a cover page, and maybe this is the explainer video overview, and I could hit those two items. Now if I wanted to obviously rearrange those, I can put those in different order and whatnot, and then I would choose my terms and conditions, which is my contractual language. I would hit save, and I would have an estimate that's ready to go. Okay. Now, let's take a look at doing this with templates, which is the absolute best way to do things and quickest way. So that took a little bit of work to do all of that. Now, let me just delete all of these things, and we can just start from scratch with a template. So if I had, for instance, once I fill in the top here and I click on templates, I already have an explainer video estimate template ready to go. So all I have to do is click on that, and my group comes in here already titled correctly. I have some default text and description to this service already listed out here, and I can modify and tweak this as needed for that particular client. And I have a baseline budget with amounts already set up in here that I can tweak. Let's say I know this one will be a little bit more involved, so I'll make this 32 hours and I'll put 12 hours of design. I can make some changes. My attachments are already in here. My terms and conditions are set. I would hit save, and then I can preview this estimate. And this is what the client would see. This would be all of the attachments that I can put in here. Now, these don't have to necessarily be PDFs. You can put anything you want in here. It could be a Word doc, a PowerPoint. It could be an image. It could be anything like that. So here's my estimate ready to go, my contractual language, and my approval. And when you send it, you simply click on the send button, and you can copy yourself or uncopy yourself, and this is the default language that you've already set up in your settings. You can modify this, and this is the email that will go out with a link to that estimate. So when I hit send, I'm not going to do that for this example, but when I hit send, they will get an email with a link to this estimate. And when the client clicks on the link in the email that they received, they will basically be taken to a page that looks like this, where they can see the entire proposal in here, all of the attachments that you put in here. Then the cost estimate will appear at the bottom, the terms and conditions and contractual language, and then they'll have the approval block in here where they can simply, do their signature, enter their title, and click approve. They can also ask for a modification. They can decline it. They can postpone it, for instance. They can download a PDF version of it, and so forth. And they can also log into their Trackfront account or create a new Trackfront account if they wanted to at this stage. But they don't even need a Trackfront account to view these estimates. It's simply a quick link, and they can take action on it right then and there.